Well, just 2 days ago, the Aussie Wire achieved a first. Our first episode being yanked off YouTube for supposed misinformation. It was always going to happen eventually, and sure enough, lucky episode number 13 was the one where it happened. So if you want to watch Tuesday's episode, you're going to have to go to Twitter and find the Topher Field Twitter handle. You'll find it posted there. But this is not a new issue. This is something that's been going on for years, and whilst it might be annoying for someone like the Aussie Wire to have to switch platforms and to have to work around some of this censorship, in some cases, it's actually downright dangerous. And I would suggest to you that where we see members of parliament being censored, well, now we have not a frustration for people like me, but an actual danger to the very foundational principles of democracy. Now, if you don't believe that that's been happening, well, Craig Kelly, a former MP, has the receipts to prove it. And I've got him here on the show right now. Craig, welcome to the Aussie Wire.
Yeah, great to be with you, Topher.
Now, just for those that may not be across this story, can you fill us in a little bit about what's been done and how you even found out, how you proved that it has actually been done?
Yes, certainly. My Facebook account was censored and basically sent down a mystery hole, a black hole,
Yeah.
at the start of 2021, where they alleged I'd been so-called, posting misinformation. But of course, misinformation today is a euphemism for another word for information that contradicts the government's narrative of the day.
Sure.
So all I was posting, all I ever posted was expert opinion from doctors, people like Professor Clancy, Professor Barodi, peer-reviewed studies that have been published, facts and data that contradicted the COVID narrative, because we needed to be having a debate about what was the best way forward. That's how a democratic society works, that you have open and free debate. It's the contest of ideas.
That's the idea.
And yet, as a member of parliament, I was censored from Facebook. They deleted everything that I had. So all I basically had left there was my Twitter account. Now, I didn't want to lose my Twitter account, because as a member of parliament, it really limits your access to communicate to people. If you don't have either Facebook or Twitter account, you're not really able to do your job properly as a member of parliament. So I was very, very careful what I posted to Twitter. This is in the pre-Elon Musk day, when they had a lot of rules that stopped free speech. Anyhow, last night someone sent me a detail. Someone, I don't know who the person is, put in a freedom of information request to the health department, requesting if they had made requests to one of the big social media companies trying to get people censored. Anyhow, lo and behold, amongst all the redactions, the heavily redacted documents, there's emails in there. So let's be very clear. So we had the Department of Health, which was Greg Hunt as the minister, under the Morrison government, had set up a secret media monitoring organisation there to monitor the pages, not only just of the general public, but members of parliament. George Christensen's had things censored as well.
Absolutely.
George Christensen, the member for Dawson in the last parliament. So they were monitoring our posts on social media, spying on them with the view of trying to report us to Twitter and have our pages cancelled and have us censored and silenced. It's the inversion of what should be happening. Now, as backbench members of parliament, we should be there holding the government of the day and the bureaucrats accountable, because they're the ones spending taxpayers' money. Here they've reversed it, and you've got these government bureaucrats spying on members of parliament, trying to censor them and close down free debate.
Well, you speak of spending taxpayers' money. One of the things that I find really revealing about this is this next letter that I've got here. Now, this is from a couple of months after that first one, and they're naming a very specific Twitter post. That earlier letter is about, can we just get rid of Craig Kelly's account? He's posting misinformation, etc. A whole bunch of incorrect allegations. This one here is about a specific post. And what I love is if you look at the date on this and then you look at the date on the post that they're reporting it on the very same day. You put this up at 9:10 in the morning. 10 past 9. Yeah, 9:10 in the morning. And later the same day. So there is a bureaucrat sitting on taxpayers' time. You knew it was bad. Does this surprise even you?
Look, it did. To think that's right. What that shows, there was bureaucrats in Canberra on the taxpayers' dime, looking basically in real time at things I was posting, trying to find something wrong. Now, if you, as I said, I was very careful what I posted to Twitter, and I chose my words, very selectively. If you look through that post there is nothing that they can say, oh, it's somehow misinformation. Look at the words there. It's criticism of the New South Wales Liberal government.
Yeah.
It basically comes up, shame, Gladys, shame.
Yeah.
You can see with the cartoon down there, the Johannes Leak cartoon with Gladys and the riot squad in the police. That's cartoons are criticising the Liberal government, Liberal state government are not allowed.
Yeah.
And that was reported, that tweet was reported, by so dobbed in by a government agency to try and get it censored because they didn't like the criticism of a Liberal government. This is how far the democracy and the slide we've had about how we no longer value free speech. If you think how past members of parliament on both sides of politics that put such great value to free speech. Look at how and some of the statements that Menzies made about how the contest of ideas, even if the person is wrong, you want to hear their idea because you want to debate it and you want to find the strengths and weaknesses in your argument and sharpen the spear on your argument. But we seem to have now been descended down this very, very dangerous track that we're going, where anything that goes against the narrative is rather than debate it and debunk it through debate and data, it's just called misinformation, and that's it. And debate is shut down. This is a very dangerous slope we're going. And now, if the government of the day can set up a secret taxpayer-funded organisation to spy on what was effectively a criticism of the government on COVID issues, there's nothing to stop them on climate issues.
Correct.
There's nothing to stop them on economic issues.
Yeah.
We are in a very, very dangerous space, and we need to. We don't have like the First Amendment in the US in this country. There's supposedly an implied right to free speech under the Constitution, but that seems to have been swept aside. I believe we need new laws in this country to protect freedom of speech, and it should be a simple principle. If you're allowed to say something, if it's lawful to say something on the soapbox in a town square, it should be unlawful for a social media platform to censor it. That should be the baseline that it does. And that way, where Twitter's getting requests from government, they can simply say, well, this statement's lawful to say in the town square.
I'll push back on you on that because even there we run into a problem. I'm still up on criminal charges from the Victorian government because I dared to speak out and encourage people to engage their human right to protest against the lockdowns at the time. And they could argue technically it wasn't legal for me to say that in the town square, and therefore the social media companies should still have been able to censor. I'm with you in principle, but I think we need to look a little bit broader even than what you're proposing.
You're right. You're 100% right. It could go much further. We've got to make sure also what you can say in the town square, is not blocked and censored. And this idea that this what was one they put incitement. If you criticise the government policy, you're somehow inciting something. We need to improve free speech in the town square, but we've got to sort of like that's the second step. Like at the moment, to think that a social media platform, the Twitters and Facebook today are the town squares of the olden days and the soapbox of the olden days. And imagine if in the town square someone got up to speak about something to criticise the government, and a government agent came along and sort of like grabbed the bloke and pulled him down and put duct tape over his mouth. Well, that's effectively what.
That's exactly what's happening here
today.
That's exactly what's happening. Look, fascism is defined as a merger between government and corporations, and I fear that what we're seeing here is a level of fascism where the government is treating these privately owned social media companies as just an extension, as another government bureaucracy. Here are our instructions, go and do what we say. We are seeing a bit of a shift, though. I do believe, despite what happened on YouTube to the last episode of the Aussie Wire, I do believe that the censorship has improved somewhat. We've seen Elon Musk take over Twitter, and there's been some radical changes there, and I really like the direction that's going in. And just recently, we've seen Mark Zuckerberg actually coming out and admitting that much of what the governments and the experts said were facts early on turned out to not be correct. Where do you see this going, and are you optimistic that we can actually get this fixed?
Look, Elon Musk taking over Twitter was a really major change in the free speech landscape. He opened it up. I'm able to say things on Twitter today, and that I couldn't say, 12 months ago, 6 months ago, before Elon Musk took it over. And everything I said over time has been proved 100% correct. But I have I have great fears that we have both what the traditional liberal side of politics is basically, and we've seen what they did in government, so it's very hard for them now to argue against it in opposition. And we've got the left side of politics, the Labor side of politics. Every time they talk about these issues, they talk about putting more restrictions, and putting more restrictions on free speech and tightening down on these things. So I think the future of free speech going forward, for the next decades, is in a really delicate space. That's why it's so important that so many people stand up and push back against this and call this out as being wrong, and value what is one of the reasons why we have so many the great improvements in the lifestyle and the quality and the wealth we have today is because someone challenged the narrative of the day all the time. In every single industry, in every single walk of life, in every single part of society, there was where we are today is because someone said the previous way of doing things was wrong and there was a better way of doing it. But now, that's today. Those things have been called misinformation.
No, you're exactly right. And I'm not going to stop fighting for free speech. I'm deeply grateful to you and the handful of other MPs. You mentioned George Christensen, and there were a few and there were a few others as well that really were good. But by and large, you're right. We're in a delicate place. Not enough people have been standing up, and I do thank you that you are, and I will continue to do so as well. Craig Kelly, former MP and National Director of the UAP, thank you so much for joining me today on the Aussie Wire, and I'm very glad to see that you've been vindicated through that FOI.
Thanks, Topher. Great to be with you.
Cheers.